Hello, ladies and gents, Hagbard Celine here, and today we are going to watch a peach of a video where a Muslim explains why he hates religion but loves Jesus. Yeah, I know, right? Granted, Islam views Jesus as one of the prophets of the book. The real leap comes from the man somehow not acknowledging that Islam is also a religion, not just Christianity. It's an insidious piece of propaganda, but let's watch and hope we can keep from becoming converted, shall we?
Look, what if I told you there was something you were missing? What if I told you that Jesus doesn't really fit into your description?
And what if I told you your shirt didn't make anyone feel better, and it doesn't really matter how fanciful the letters?
What if I told you that follower of Christ doesn't automatically mean Christian, and just because you believe in faith doesn't mean Jesus didn't believe in submission?
Followers of Christ are inherently Christians, which is why I choose to call you motherfuckers Mohammedans.
And conviction. Listen, you say Jesus was God and that God had descended. We say Jesus was man, for Jesus was dependent. Our God is all great and cannot be comprehended. You say that God was murdered, or do you believe that he pretended?
Neither. They believe in a magical event in which one is three, whereas you believe the moon was split by a man that lived in a tent.
See, God gave us brains and God gave us logic, but I guess God wanted us to use them in everything else except for this topic.
And it's ironic you should say that. You're so disconnected you sound psychotic.
It's like wearing a cross and proclaiming that you love Jesus, when if God was murdered on the cross really shouldn't please us. I mean, would you be wearing an axe if it was used to chop your mother up into pieces?
Funny thing about chopping people into pieces, as it's your people who choose to do this to thieves.
See, this is what happens when you believe in faith, but fail to believe in reason. See, we used to worship the Creator, until Satan turned us to the creation. We began to worship the people and neglect the one who made them. We began to believe that God had died. But how could a God even be created? A miraculous birth, and therefore the Son of God was begotten. See, the creation of Jesus was easy, but you seem to have forgotten that God says be, and it is, just like with Adam, a concept too complex for the church to merely fathom.
Except they invented all this shit, and you just cribbed it. It's like watching a third-grade math student try and lecture a physicist.
But he was the creator of the universe, for all we know, even more. And so what if we can't see him? I mean, what you acting like our universe is small?
It's amazing to hear you say that as your universe fits into one book. Maybe if you didn't spend so much time with your forehead on the ground, you'd had some time to look.
I mean, there's still so much we're still yet to explore. I mean, there's still so many things as human beings we still haven't seen, touched, heard, or saw. I mean, our eyes can't even handle the sight of the sun. So how can we possibly handle the sight of our Lord?
Your logic is flawed. We have instruments for that. Still no lords. And if you're not gonna rhyme, neither am I. Fuck it.
See, Jesus used to pray. But in your opinion, who'd he pray to? I mean, if Jesus was God, surely prayer would be of no use. Or did he only require it when he needed to know the truth? Like when God wasn't sure whether it was the season of the fruit. Or maybe he prayed when there was something he couldn't do. Like when he said, I of myself can do nothing. But you took it as there's nothing he couldn't do.
Well, now you're just misquoting other people's words. And from a guy whose religion is obsessed with Arabic, I find it kind of absurd.
See, no one used to worship Jesus, so ask yourself, why do you? A concept so straightforward, but has left so many confused.
The perfect example of which is in you.
See, Jesus preached one God, but the church has failed to practice. And I mean, you don't have to be that dumb to know that 1 + 1 + 1 equaling 1 isn't necessarily going to give you a pass in mathematics.
Confusing the Trinity for 1 + 1 + 1 is further proof of your disingenuous tactics.
See, the church said 3, when Jesus said 1. Jesus said God, when the church said son. Jesus never said worship me, rather he said pray, but you've chosen to worship Jesus despite everything he used to say.
Christians use Jesus just like you use Muhammad. Do as he did isn't worship, and if it is, y'all have the same problem.
You began to think with your emotion and forgot to think with your mind. I guess you didn't pay attention when Jesus says our Father, yet never says mine. You claim to be a follower of Christ, yet you still choose to eat swine, and you call yourselves Christians, but in your churches you're busy drinking wine.
Hell, I'm not a Christian. I'm a thinking man instead. So I don't live by sand people's rules. I use my head. Pigs are just another meat, and wine another drink. Now, I'm sure all the fabric on your body is alike, lest you be a fink.
And just to clarify, I do love Jesus. Matter of fact, I love him more than you, because when Jesus said do something, I actually do. However, I'm not connected with the church nor with the Bible. See, I love Jesus as my prophet, but refuse to worship him as an idol, just like he wanted and proclaimed it as sin. So it doesn't really matter if they don't let him in, because Jesus wouldn't even want to be in the presence of people worshiping an idol of him.
An act of God, bolt of lightning went straight through the outstretched hand of Jesus.
This cannot be a coincidence.
Before I move on, there's something I need to mention. The worshiping of Jesus is a man-made invention. He never asked for your worship so he can grant you protection. Rather, he asks you to alternate your prayers towards another direction.
It says the same thing in your books and you behave the same way. Otherwise, why are you putting sawitu after everything you say?
To God and God only, and pray that he accepts them. And know that just because you love Jesus doesn't mean he feels the same way about your affection.
Oh, we know that you worship a disdainful, slaving cunt, so given the choice, I'll deal with Christians who can still have a little fun.
See, what you believe in is exactly what he resented. Matter of fact, it's everything he despised. See, the worshiping of creation goes against the very message he supplied. So you began to follow a religion and called it love in disguise, because love can be good, but love can be blind.
Giant Jesus is no more.
So just gonna end it right there, huh? With a silly little clang. You say Christians worship Jesus. You care to back that claim? They use Jesus just like you use that murderous pedophile as a template for behavior, and frankly, I prefer his style. See, I am not a Christian, but I know Jesus' example, and I'll deal with his believers before Muhammadians. It's that simple. Most Christians today don't support rape, pedophilia, or extortion, so I'll argue with them secure in nonviolence even about abortion. Your ilk, however, shoots cartoonists and bombs trains, then cry about intolerance. Crying, but we're not the same. Kindly take your cutesy rhyme and insert it in your rear. Stop trying to convert Christians to your barbarism. I'll have none of that here. Thanks, everyone, and I'll see you on Friday.